Okay, today on the bench we have a kind of a, not exactly a rare radio, but it's one of the oddballs of the past. It's a CB-Fone. I've done lots of these before, and I kind of like them because I think it is kind of a neat idea. And I've got a bunch of CB-Phones from different manufacturers. I think actually I'm close to, I have almost all of them. I think I'm missing at least one, maybe two models. I think there's a Lafayette that I'm missing, and a realistic. I'd have to check. But anyhow, I kind of like them. So now this one's not mine. Customer sent this in, wanted electrolytic capacitors replaced. Basically, you know, restoration, go through it, replace the caps, alignment, you know, whatever it needed. So that's already been done. Something I've always thought would be neat to do. I've personally never put one of these in a vehicle. You know, not this specific model, just a CB-Fone, but could you imagine sitting in a traffic jam, have a state cop, you know, local, whatever, sheriff, it doesn't matter what it is, but police pull up beside you, because remember, at least in my state, and most of the surrounding states around here, it's illegal to talk on a cell phone, you know, unless you're using a hands-free device like a Bluetooth or something. Could you imagine having a police officer pull up beside you and him see you with that in your hand? A telephone handset. Of course, he's not going to know it's a CB radio. I'd almost be worth putting that in just to get pulled over, so, and to explain to the police officer that I'm not talking on a telephone, sir. It's a CB radio. I just like to see the expression on their face, if nothing else. But anyhow, this one's been redone. It's for, see, there's actually a lot more skip was on before I did the alignment. Of course, now that I've done the alignment, as soon as you turn the camera on, the skip fades away. But there is still a little bit on. Now, I still have to clean the radio up. It's still dirty, nasty, and grimy. But all the work's been done on the inside. Yeah, 11 and 6 were just booming in a while ago.
710-7, hey, big boss, go on and enjoy yourself. Keep the roads in order. Really big boss.
28's dead. So, any case, let's take a look-see on the inside here. So it's one of the things that makes these a little bit challenging. Usually most CB-Phones or any radio where the faceplate sticks straight up, like some of those high gains, there's a few radios that had those, all those slide controls. Those and radios like this can be a little bit challenging to work on. It's just getting them apart to get to them. Now the top cover on this comes off real easy, 2 screws in the back, 2 in the sides. Honestly, getting the internals out of this one's not too bad. There's 2, trying to see if I can see it in the camera view, yeah, right there. There's a nut, large nut, it's really long, with a screwdriver slot in it. There's one there and one on the other side. You take those 2 nuts off, and then take that screw, and there's another one hidden down in here around the shield for the RF can here. Remove those 3 screws, and then you can take the bottom cover off. Now, you'll still have the speaker attached, and there's going to be 3 wires that go to the switch inside the microphone cradle here. So, and yes, this corner is broken off here. It is what it is. But there's a switch right here, and that's for if you have, trying to look around the camera here. So now the sound, if I turn it up, is only coming out of the handpiece, and then, so if you flip, so that way, you know, if you were talking, I guess the idea is if you were talking to somebody, when you actually wanted to talk on the radio, you grab the handset. While you're talking on it, you're not disturbing anybody around you, because they can't hear what, you know, the incoming signal. Or if you put it in the, push the button in, then it comes out of both the handset and the speaker that's built in right under here. So, but anyhow, you're going to have that wiring to contend with. So, because this piece is attached to the chassis here, the speaker and the switch, the little micro switch for that handset, are attached to the base plastic piece. They're all screwed to that. So just unsolder those 5 wires and then you can get it out. And then actually it's not too bad to service. PLL is in a can, but there's only one electrolytic capacitor in the can there. This does use I guess you could call it a variant of the UPD 858 PLL chip. This is also an NEC, but you can see it's a UPD 861C. So very similar, same package size. I'd have to pull the data sheet. I think these can be expanded for channels. I think there's 2 pins. Oh, let's just take a look. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have 2 pins tied high on these. Actually, there's a factory schematic. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7 and 8. Yeah, goes to 12. So that's a voltage source. Yeah. So they have pin 7 and 8 tied high. Actually, probably be a little bit clearer on the SAM schematic here. Yeah, 5, 6. Yeah, there it is. Pin 7 and 8 are tied high. So yeah, this one's probably. I don't know if this one expands as much as an 858 PLL though. Like I said, I'd have to pull the data sheet up and see what can't remember what the count, how far these will count. But they had nice little AM receivers. This one, yeah, wasn't receiving so great. Actually, I can't say that. It received okay. I did get the receive sensitivity up on it. I mean, it hasn't been tinkered with probably since the 80s, or 70s, late 70s when it was built, Lord knows. It actually was receiving okay, but the AGC was way out of alignment. I don't know if possibly somebody accidentally maybe turned the wrong adjustment. The one thing that had been screwdrivered in this was the modulation. It was turned up the whole way. The output power was way too high on this radio, and the modulation was cranked full rotation, so it was horribly distorted. I've reset those. I don't know if maybe because they're very close to each other, the AMC and one of the AGC adjustments for the automatic gain control circuit, I don't know if maybe they adjusted the wrong one by accident, but properly adjusted the high and the low AGC settings, and the low end receive sensitivity. It's not so much that the receive sensitivity picked up, it's that the gain picked up, so you could actually hear it out of the speaker. That was the problem. The signal was there, the radio was receiving it, you could just barely hear it because the AGC was improperly adjusted. So I guess let me get this little guy put back together. The only thing I got to do is put the PLL can top back on here, get the top cover on, clean it up, and then we'll hook it back up on air and see if maybe any more skips coming in, or it might be getting worse. I don't know, it might be fading out for the day. So let me get her reassembled and I'll be back.
Hello, number 8. Number 8, let me swing around that number 8 right there.
Okay, so I got her back together and got her cleaned up. The top cover was... It's I don't even have to guess. I know why they did it. It's a realistic with a DIN plug. And it's a DIN plug that does not have the lock button. So yeah, every time you pick up the handset, like any other microphone, and if you pull too hard on it, it just unplugs out of the radio. Well, I guess somebody got, pissed off and tired of that. So what they did was, it looks like they had black tape. So there's been black tape. It had wrapped around the top cover here, and it was all around here, and it had... From the looks of what it did to these covers, it had been on there for a few decades, probably like that. And somebody tried to scratch it off, and it was all scratched up right there. Really, not bad. It's not like it was deep scratches, but you can see like maybe a fingernail or something. Somebody used something, but there's almost like sandpaper scratches there. But you could still see the goo, and yeah, it was a mess. So I got the glue residue that was still there off, and then actually buffed the cover, so you can see it's nice and shiny now. So yeah, it was just it just looked horrible. So there you go. There's a restored realistic CB-Fone model TRC-456. I don't know, I'd almost have to check my own videos. I can't remember if I did a video on one of these or not. Usually, yeah, stuff like this, it's not like it's a fancy radio that I may do several videos on over time. Usually stuff like this I'll just do when I can't, I know I've done some of these, I just can't remember if this is the first video or not. I didn't bother to check. Too much stuff to do. So if I've done a video on one of these before, here's another one. If not, there you go. So hope you enjoyed.